Hi, welcome. Today we're looking at two similar personality disorders. Let's look deeper into this topic. Which is worse, a psychopath or a sociopath? Is there a difference? Some say they're one and the same, while others argue that there are distinct differences. Could you tell them apart if you saw them in action? How about if you were facing one right now? A psychopath is usually more intelligent and articulate than a sociopath. Psychopaths lack empathy altogether, while sociopaths may have some level of empathy, but it's often shallow and only exhibited when it's convenient for them. This is why psychopaths are more likely to be successful in their endeavors, whether it be financial, social, or otherwise. When it comes to violence, psychopaths are more likely to be premeditated and calculated, while sociopaths are more likely to be impulsive and reactive. This is why sociopaths are more likely to end up in prison, as their impulsivity and lack of remorse or shame leads them into trouble with the law. It's important to remember that. Both can be dangerous and should not be taken lightly. While there may be legal and medical distinctions made between the two terms, ultimately they refer to individuals who engage in antisocial and harmful behavior. If you suspect someone you know may be a psychopath or sociopath, it is important to take the situation seriously. Psychopaths are able to make long-term plans and stick to it, whereas sociopaths are more likely to get sidetracked or bored and abandon their goals. For example, a sociopath may pretend to care about someone in order to manipulate them into doing something they want. They know how to manipulate people into doing what they want and can easily make themselves appear likable and trustworthy. Both psychopaths and sociopaths can display manipulative and deceptive behavior, making it difficult for those around them to know what to expect. They may use charm and charisma to get what they want from others, and they're both capable of violence when necessary. Moreover, both psychopaths and sociopaths can be highly intelligent, though this is more common in psychopathy. They're often able to rationalize their actions and avoid taking responsibility for their mistakes. In contrast, sociopaths often struggle with impulse control and engaging in risky behavior without considering the consequences. They may act out or become violent when frustrated or stressed. Let's define what we mean by psychopath and sociopath. These terms are often used interchangeably, but in reality they refer to different things. A sociopath is someone who exhibits antisocial behavior and has difficulty conforming to social norms. They may engage in impulsive or reckless behavior and have a disregard for the rights of others. On the other hand, a psychopath is someone with a personality disorder that causes them to have an incapacity for love and a lack of remorse or shame. In order to better understand these two terms, here are some of their differences and similarities. Psychopaths and sociopaths both share similar traits such as antisocial behavior, callousness, and low levels of empathy and interpersonal emotions. However, there are also key differences between them. Psychopathy is thought to be more of a clinical diagnosis, whereas sociopathy is not a clinical diagnosis but rather a term used to describe certain behaviors. A psychopath will typically have a lower score on tests measuring empathy, while a sociopath will typically have a higher score on the same test. Psychopaths tend to plan their actions carefully, while sociopaths are more likely to act impulsively. Psychopaths are also more likely to be charming and charismatic, which can make them more manipulative and deceptive. This is why many serial killers are classified as psychopaths. Finally, psychopathy is more common in men than in women, while sociopathy is more common in women than in men. It's important to note that not all psychopaths and sociopaths are violent, but they can be. Finally, let's talk about the similarities between psychopaths and sociopaths. In conclusion, there are more similarities than differences between psychopathy and sociopathy. A few famous psychopaths include Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, and Richard Ramirez. Some famous sociopaths include Charles Manson, Albert DeSalvo, Carl Panzram, and Dennis Rader. What do you do if you find out your boyfriend or girlfriend is a psychopath? We've all heard of serial killers and people who go on shooting sprees, but did you know that there are people who are just as bad but function in society without any problems? And more importantly, if you find out your partner is one, should you end the relationship or can it be managed? Unlike psychopaths, sociopaths do have some empathy, but it's often only for themselves. If you're dating a sociopath, You may feel like they're only interested in themselves and don't really care about how their actions affect you. Should you stay or should you go? If you find out your partner is either of these things, it can be difficult to know what to do. If you stay, you may be putting yourself in harm's way, so don't take the situation lightly. If you choose to stay, it's important to be aware of the risks involved. You may be putting yourself in danger if you decide to stay with a psychopath or sociopath. They're often controlling and jealous, and they may make you feel like you're crazy or that you're the one with the problem. If you decide to leave a relationship with a psychopath or sociopath, it's best to end it and leave. It's not your fault, and you deserve to be happy. Thanks for watching. See you next time.